IVM.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, your peak performance coach, life coach, emotional intelligence practitioner, and NLP practitioner. I'm also the founder of Abzo Expertise Unique, and my organization constantly aims at building leaders across continents. After having worked with so many dynamic business honchos, entrepreneurs, startups, CEOs, management gurus, parents, and student communities worldwide, I am convinced that every individual has unleashed potential, and all we really need to do is realize it. Watch the magic unfold, enhance quality of life, relationships, and professions. On my show, be ready for some riveting conversations with inspirational people, snippets, stories, and much more. So here I am on this exceptional journey to find empowerment and inspiration anywhere I can. Come join me on this breathtaking path of self-realization, potential maximization, positivity, and most of all, embrace your inner power. You are on your way to empowering yourselves. Welcome to the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawalla. When I often present this question in a program, what are the most important skills in communication? The collective response is usually speaking, conversational, social skills. But here's the real deal. Although all of these are extremely crucial to communication, yet one of the most difficult, important, and powerful tools is undoubtedly your listening skills. We do briefly understand the difference between listening and hearing. So just to brush it up for you a little bit, hearing is what we experience since sounds travel, and we receive every sound bite in various frequencies. However, listening, if I may equate it plainly, listening is equal to hearing plus attention plus comprehension. And I'm going to repeat this so you listen carefully. Listening is equal to hearing plus attention plus comprehension. Do you notice how the most common problems in communication arise from weak and frail listening skills? Imagine these scenarios. Your mom asked you to fix something for her and you were busy playing or chatting on your phone. You said, "Yes, Mom, I heard you, I'll do it." It's probably been days since you said yes and the job is still undone. A fight with your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse. You get into an argument and two people are just lashing out at each other without specific reason. And in no time, jumping right into the blame game, probably digging old graves and justifying acts that have nothing to do with the present situation. Sounds familiar, right? A lowdown from your boss. You're fueled with rage because your boss disgraced you, passed some snarky comments and hurt your feelings. The emotion you strongly feel now is anger, and hence, there is no scope for rationalizing what your boss actually said. You didn't pay attention to why it's being said, rather to what is being said to you. Listening skills are the key to resolving issues, whether in your personal or professional space. In fact, it is proved in more ways than one how listening works really well in avoiding the probabilities of miscommunication. So let's be active listeners then, shall we? Intent. Be ready mentally to listen. Imagine you telling yourself, "I'm required to listen, so I'm going to be present intently." Amidst the many steps to improve listening, the one which people often miss out is the intent. And trust me, intent is key. You must dedicate your undivided attention and be ready to do so very mindfully. If you can do this, beyond half the battle is already won. Eye contact. We all know it's part of your nonverbal communication, and it allows you to show that you're paying attention. In fact, even in recent times with the new normal per se, webinars and video calls, what really makes the other person on the other side think that you're paying attention? It's the eye contact. Remember, eye contact is a great attention gripper, and in fact, it also makes you way more persuasive. Body language, the larger part of your nonverbal communication, and one which is extremely important to all of us in understanding what somebody means. Your gestures play an active part when you're listening to somebody. It requires a keenness in your conduct. A listener's body language, if you observe it, is usually leaned forward, eye contact of course, and most importantly, non-closed hand gestures. Try not to lock your hands down, instead leave them nice and open so that you show that you're open to this communication and to paying attention. Listening with an open mind. Try listening without making preconceived notions, judgments, or mentally criticizing the person actually speaking to you. We often find ourselves in a conversation with somebody where we judge the very first word they've spelled out, and the reason is you are listening to respond and not to understand. Try to keep an open mind no matter how hard it seems. You will be fairly surprised at how easy it is to actually understand somebody else's perspective. So remember this: listen to understand, not to respond. Do not interrupt. This probably is one of the most annoying habits while you're trying to be an active listener. Remember this: you're receiving the information. Absorb it, process it, and then respond to it. For this to be possible, a few common interruptions can be avoided, such as, "No, you listen to me first," or "I was telling you, you shouldn't be doing this," or "I told you so," which is extremely common, or "You never understand what I'm trying to say. You're talking rubbish. You don't make sense to me." All of these things, while somebody is trying to express themselves, can be extremely demeaning, and of course, you are closing the doors of actually understanding somebody. So, you may be right, you may be absolutely true in whatever you feel. However, try to avoid interrupting somebody while they speak to you. Paraphrase. Imagine giving your order to Domino's, for instance. Once you've said, "I'd like a 10-inch margarita with oven-fresh breadsticks and a Coke." I know it sounds tempting, but this is just an analogy for you. The person on the other side of the phone who's taking your order is going to confirm it. That's what paraphrasing is. Corroborating the information to make sure you aren't missing out on any details and avoiding the scope of miscommunication. So if you feel you've missed out on something, try to paraphrase the person and make sure that your thoughts are aligned with what they're saying. An ancient proverb says, "You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you must listen twice and speak once." This is probably the best thing I've ever read, and this is my advice to you. So go right ahead, listen twice and speak once, because your ears don't shut, but your mouth definitely does. Be safe, be well, be empowered.
If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. So, a great week of shows behind us, and I hope that you've been catching up on as much of it as you can. We had Abhishek Bachchan on Football Shitball. Yeah, let me say that again. Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball. Did I mention Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball? That was a fun episode. You should definitely check that out. Really, really deep conversation about cricket and things like that. We had Vikram Kochar on Cyrus Says, talking about the platforms and stuff like what's going on over there. On the note, Maruk had spoken to Sanjay Jha, which was again a really, really interesting conversation. On Edges and Sledges, the guys are having an interesting conversation about, well, you know, what are favorite formats of cricket and things like that. So it's just really been a really, really awesome week on the network, and please do check things out. And with that, hope to see you next week.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives, and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Storysellers for personal stories, analysis and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.